What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the train room. In today's video, I've got another exciting one for you. Today we're going to see an engine that you guys have not yet seen on the channel, but that I have had for a long time, so I'm excited to bring it to you. So make sure you stay tuned. So before we get to talking about the awesome engine that I have to show you guys today, I wanted to first have a little heart-to-heart chat with you, my fans and subscribers. First off, bear with me because I am fighting off a little bit of a cold with the change of the weather and the change of the seasons. So if I sound a little funny, hey, cut me some slack. So some of you may or may not notice that I did not upload last week. And I've been pretty consistent about trying to get a upload up every Tuesday. And to be honest, I was just feeling really discouraged about the performance of the channel in the last month. You know, it takes a lot of time out of my already super busy schedule between working 60 hours a week, trying to be a good dad, maintaining the property that we have here. It's a lot of work. And so I've really been trying to squeeze in YouTube when I can. And it does take a lot of my time and money to make these videos. So I really let the numbers get the best of me in the last month. And I understand that with this YouTube journey, there's going to be some growing pains. And not every video is going to do great. And a lot of it's not even you guys' fault. So what I do ask you to do is, if you want to support my channel and support me, take a second, make sure you subscribe, make sure you click the bell icon notification so that you get notified when I upload a video. Also, if you would, please take a second to go check out some of my uploads in the last month or so. There's some really awesome videos, and I was really proud of the last one we did where we went and toured the city of Petersburg. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go back and check it out because it was worth the watch. It took all day to film, and I was so happy with the way it came out. So make sure you check that out. But enough about the channel, enough about what I got going on. Let's get to the trains. Alright, so the engine that I have for us to look at today is this Lionel TMCC Southern Pacific GS-2 steam locomotive. It is seen here in its Southern Pacific Daylight paint scheme. Now, if you've been subscribed to this channel for any time, you may have noticed that my collection is, well, very East Coast based. And I must say that I am definitely partial to the East Coast railroads. The Norfolk and Western, the Southern, the Richmond, Fredericksburg, Potomac, Atlantic Coastline, even stuff like the Reading and Northern, Norfolk Southern. You know, I mean, I'm really just a East Coast kind of guy. So let's just safe to say that this Southern Pacific engine, which is about as far away from the East Coast as you can get, really doesn't fit my collection. But I must say, as far as aesthetics, this is the most beautiful engine in my collection. I've had this engine for quite some time, as this was actually one of my first big steam engines that I ever got as a child. My grandmother gifted me this engine brand new when I was probably, I don't know, 12 years old or so. And it has been a treasured piece of my collection ever since. I think as a young boy, what really stood out to me was the beautiful Daylight paint job on this engine. At the time, I really didn't know as much about trains as I know now. All I knew is this thing was orange, bright, and beautiful. So that's how it ended up here. While I will say that I'm not the most versed guy on West Coast railroads, I will briefly go over the history of this Southern Pacific GS-2. So the Southern Pacific Railroad was based out of San Francisco, California, and founded in 1865 by a landholding company. Southern Pacific, which was based out of San Francisco, California, made their claim to fame on the California coast. However, they had trackage, an impressive main line, from Portland, Oregon, all the way to New Orleans, Louisiana. The railroad hauled freight and passenger service and had many notable passenger trains, such as the Coast Daylight, the Cascade, and the Sunset Limited. The railroad had a tremendous history all the way from the 1800s to finally on September 11th, 1996, the company merged with competitor Union Pacific, marking the end of the Southern Pacific Railroad. Now, the model that we're looking at here today is a Southern Pacific GS-2 class. This engine was a 484 Northern type wheel configuration. It came in at a total weight of 821,400 pounds, had a fuel oil capacity of 6,010 U.S. gallons, 22,000 U.S. gallon water capacity, 73.5-inch drivers, a 250 psi max boiler pressure, all this combined to put out a maximum speed of 90 miles per hour and a power output of 4,500 horsepower and a very impressive tractive effort of 75,950 pounds with the boosters on. The 4410 that we're looking at here was the first of the GS2 class. It rolled out of the Lima Locomotive Works in December of 1936. A total of 6 GS2s would come out of Lima Locomotive Works for the Southern Pacific. However, later, there would be many more GS classes, 8 to be exact. Now, you may be wondering what the GS stands for in this class. The GS, depending on who you ask, stands for Golden State. However, some people also refer to it as General Service. The Golden State name came from the state in which the Southern Pacific hailed from, which was California. California is nicknamed the Golden State. GS2 had a very different look than the predecessor GS1 class that it was replacing. The GS2s were built for high-speed passenger service and were the first to feature many things such as the silver smoke box, the Daylight paint scheme, and the streamlining that you see on this engine. The GS class proved to be the passenger workhorse for the Southern Pacific all the way to the end of the steam era. Today, there are no surviving examples of the GS2 class. However, the GS4 4449 is currently in preservation at the Oregon Rail Heritage Center. Now, even though the 4449 has not been in excursion service in many years, the museum does keep that engine in operable condition. There is also one other survivor of the GS class, GS6 number 4460, is on static display at the National Museum of Transportation in St. Louis, Missouri. So now that we've talked a little bit about the history of the GS class, let's talk about this Lionel model that we have here. So this is the Lionel Southern Pacific Daylight TMCC Scale 484 GS2 number 4410. The engine was first featured in the Volume 2 catalog in 2004. It has a minimum curve radius of 0.54 and is 28 inches long. This engine is 3-rail O-scale. 2004, this engine was all new tooling. It was Trainmaster command control equipped. Odyssey speed system. Had the Rail Sounds 5.0 with new crew talk and tower comm announcements. This engine also featured Lionel's multi-whistle, which allowed the steam to blow at different pressures through the whistle. It had the Dyna-Chuff synchronized chuffing, Fat Boy speakers, and a high torque Pitman motor. Directional lighting, illuminated class lights, illuminated number boards, and it is a die-cast body. So now let's go over some of the detail of this beautiful engine. I know in some of my reviews I tend to get a bit long-winded, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. I'm just taking you down the side of the engine now. You see that beautiful Daylight paint scheme. Come around to the back of the tender. Here we come over to the top of the tender. You can see this again is an oil burning locomotive, so no coal load. You can see your whistle, your pop valves, smokestack. So coming around to the front of the engine, obviously the first thing you see is this beautiful silver smoke box. Also notable, you can see these really nice lighted legible number boards. You see your air horn headlight, a legible number plate on the front. Nice looking detail, separately applied air hoses. Some really sharp silver striping on the front of this thing. And you can see your dummy O-scale front coupler. Moving down to the side of the engine, you see these really beautiful legible builder's plates. You see your Daylight insignia here on the front. Follow that beautiful orange paint job down. Come down to your drivers here. Some nice white outlining on the outside of the drivers. Really sharp looking wheels. You got silver side rods here. Up top we've got some separately applied detail, separately applied handrail. Coming here to your trailing truck. Like I said, some more nice separately applied detail. You can see your crew figure inside the cab. Your 4410. You see the GS-2 insignia is there. Come around to the back of the locomotive. Take a look inside the cab. See the molded in detail there. See your crew figures. This does have wireless tether to the tender. Alright, and follow back, we'll take a look at the tender. You see another legible plate there. Your weight markings. Again, that beautiful Southern Pacific Daylight paint scheme. I mean, I can't stress to you guys enough how gorgeous the paint is on this engine. And we'll come around to the back. You do have a operating rear headlight. You have operating marker lanterns, electro coupler, separately applied ladder and rail here, so really sharp looking. So before we get to the run session, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, but I do want to quickly go over the passenger consist that we're going to pull behind the engine today. These are made by K-Line, and these are 18-inch Southern Pacific Daylight passenger cars. You see we have a baggage car here, a coach, that's your diner car. This is a 6-car set, a 4-pack and a 2-pack. The 2-pack here, that's your Pullman car called the Lake Creek. Here's another Pullman called the DeWitt, and a really sharp SP observation car. So a really great looking set. And what I will speak on K-Line is that unfortunately, you know, K-Line is not around anymore. It was absorbed by Lionel, and it seems like Lionel has no interest in making anything under the K-Line brand anymore. But I must say, I remember I got these cars years and years ago, and I remember how reasonably priced they were. And when you compare it to the price of passenger cars today, we really made out good on these. The detail on these things is super nice. I mean, awesome cars. I mean, take a look. You have, you know, figures inside of each car. The paint is crisp. The trucks look great. My only complaint about these cars, honestly, is that they're really heavy to pull. I mean, this 6-car set feels like you got 12 cars behind it. You know, I don't think they roll maybe as freely as maybe Lionel or an MTH car, but for what I use them for, I think they were a fantastic bargain. So I highly recommend if you could pick yourself up a set of these cars, you won't be disappointed. Okay, back at the engine, I've put some power to the track. You can see that headlight is operational now. You can see the lighted number boards, they look great. The lit cab and your red marker lights on the back. So lighting looks really sharp for its age. Oh, I'm sorry, and I forgot to mention your green markers on the front. And one thing I love about these engines versus the newer legacy ones is I really think legacy engines have very overpowering marker lights on the front. They're like super, super bright. I think the brightness on these is just right for, in my opinion, to look more authentic. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut this thing on. Let's hear it. Alright, I will go through the sounds really quick. Obviously, let's start with the whistle. And might I add, I love the whistle in this thing. It sounds awesome. You can hear that multi-whistle, so you can't control that. It's at random, but it does blow at different boiler pressures, so it's really cool sounding. While we're still talking about horns, or whistles, let's talk about the horn. This does have an air horn on it. You can also blow that at different pressures too, so pretty neat. Alright, let's talk crew talk on this one. So this is TMCC, but it is Rail Sounds 5.0. So fortunately the crew talk got a lot better, and believe it or not, I prefer this crew talk over some of the modern legacy stuff. Just because, you know, at this time, Lionel was still making road-specific crew talk for these engines. Something that you can only get in a Vision Line model now. Let's take a listen.
This is 4410, looking for track. Over.
Southern Pacific, 4410, you are cleared outbound. Take the green. Over.
4410, roger that. Just about all buttoned up here. I'll be rolling in a second, sir. Over.
SP 4410, take the green. Over.
Dispatch, this is 4410, roger that. Just about all buttoned up here. I'll be rolling in a second, sir. Over.
So we also have some more crew talk that we'll go over once the engine gets rolling, but it goes through some different sequences as the engine's moving. So one last thing we can look at here is they do have the sound of water being put into the tender. So let's listen to that. That will stay on for as long as you hold it. Alright. So a really nice sound set for a TMCC engine. I think my only complaint with the sounds on this engine, and it's something I may change later with the Super Chuffer upgrade. You guys saw that in my Class J video. But it does have 2 chuffs per revolution. You know, I prefer it to have 4 to sound more authentic, but, you know, I can live with it. This thing sounds great. So let's go ahead and get it hooked up, and let's have a run session.
Dispatch, this is 4410, requesting departure clearance. Over.
Southern Pacific, 4410, take the green. Over.
4410, copy that. Just about all buttoned up here. I'll be rolling in a second, sir. Over.
6 agreed. Over.
Dispatch, this is 4410. Copy that. Just about all buttoned up here. I'll be rolling in a second, sir. Over. Dispatch, this is 4410. We're underway at this time. Over.
Roger that. Over and out.
Thanks for your help today. It's quitting time. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, y'all, that's going to wrap this one up today. Hope you've enjoyed this West Coast edition of High Rollers Roads and Rails. I just ask that you guys continue to support me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click the bell notification to make sure you get updated every time I post a video. So, as the Californians would say, peace out. But as we say on High Rollers Roads and Rails, we'll see y'all down the line.